Harlan stood in the doorway of the little sod-roofed cabin's swirling in behind him like loose flourish coat, white to the elbows, eyes red from wind and something deep. Clara knelt on the packed earth floor, her apron bunched in her fist, cutting clean lines through the soot on her cheeks. "Pleasey," whispered Dante M. begging youth. Old Yellow Dog lay between them, ribs heaving slow, a dark patch spreading across the rug. Clara had braided from flour sacks the first winter they were married. Harlan's hands shook so hard the rifle barrel rattled against the door. From had carried that same Winchester since the war, never once trembled until now he looked at Clarathon, at the dogthon, at the years that lay heavy in the room. Buck had come to them as a half-starved pup the spring after the grasshoppers took the wheat. Clara had fed him scraps under the table when Harlan pretended not to notice. He had slept at the foot of their bed every night for 14 years, guarded the cradle when their boy was born, lay across the threshold the night the fever took the child anyway, followed Clara through every sorrow like a quiet yellow shadow. Now his back leg was crushed, caught in the coyote trap Harlan had set up along the creek. The same trap that was supposed to keep the stock safe. Clara had found him at dusk, dragged him home on the sled they used for firewood. Hands raw and bleeding from the chain, Harlan had taken one look, known what had to be done. Ian felt his stomach turn inside out. "I can't let him suffer," a sad voice cracking like thin ice. Clara crawled closer, laid her head on Buck's neck, felt the weak thump of his heart against her cheek. "He's all I got left," the boy said soft as prayer. "One. I close my eyes, I still hear little feet running down. Then I open them, and there's Buck waiting at the door like he's waiting for both of us to come home." Harlan's knees gave out, sank down across from Hearth's rifle forgotten against the wall. He reached out, laid one trembling hand on the dog's head, the familiar spot between the ears where the fur had gone. Thin Buck opened his eyes, cloudy now with pain, but he thumped his tail on squeak against the floor. Same greeting he had given every evening for 14 years. Harlan felt the tears come hot and sudden, the kind a man doesn't let fall until the world has already taken everything else. Clara looked up, saw her strong, quiet husband shaking like cottonwood leaves in October, and something shifted gentle inside her chest. She reached across the dog, took Harlan's hand, placed it over Buck's hearth, and covered both with her own. "We do it together, Shada. We don't do it at all." Harlan swallowed hard, nodded once. Clara eased Buck's head into her lap, stroked his ears the way she had when he was a pup afraid of thunder, and began to hum low and steady. Same lullaby she had sung to their sonth, one that started, "Go to sleep, my little buckaroo." Harlan picked up the rifle butt instead of raising. "I've laid it." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out the little flask he carried for snakebite, and sorrow poured a measure into the tin cup they shared for coffee. He tipped it slow between Buck's teeth, watched the dog swallow, felt hand tighten over his. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Snow kept falling silent outside. The fire settled into soft red coals. Buck's breathing slowed, his tail still. Its pain left his eyes first, and the life followed gentle after. Clara kept humming. The last note floated away like smoke. Harlan sat shaking, greet silent shudders that started in his chest and rolled out through his arms. Clara moved around the dog, wrapped her arms around her husband, pulled him down until his head rested in her lap. The same way Buck's had. She rocked him slow, way she had rocked their both, way she had rocked herself through empty years. "That's all right," whispered. "You gave him mercy, you gave him stats more than most folks ever get outside the wind." His deaf snow settled soft over the prayer, blanketing everything. Clinians at Etwo. Old hearts beat close together, sharing the same small space that had once held 3,402 again, and somehow in the letting Gothi found room to hold each other. Titter. Harlan's shaking finally quiet. He'd turned his face into Clara's apron, breathed in wood smoke and sorrow and home. "Thank you," said voice rough, "for not letting me do it alone." Clara kissed the top of his gray head, felt the years settle gentle around them like the new snow. "We never do anything alone, and swear it not. The living not, the long loving after." They stayed that way until dawn, holding what was left, keeping it warm until the light came pale and kind through the frosted window. One, the world turned quiet and new. A guy *. Spring came slow that year. *. The way it does when the ground has to remember how to hold warmth again. Harlan buried Buck under the cottonwood by the creek, the one the dog used to chase sticks into when he was young and foolish, dug deep so the coyotes wouldn't bother him. Laid the old yellow collar on top like a promise. Clara watched from the porch. Her shawl pulled tight. Though the morning was mild, she didn't cry anymore. The tears had dried somewhere in February. But her hands still shaped the air, summertimes looking for fur that wasn't there. One afternoon in April, Harlan came in from the south field, leading a little red-heeled pup on a rope made from binder twine. The pup was all ears and worry, tripping over its own feet, whining soft at every shadow. Clara stood at the stove, stirring beans slow. Didn't turn around right away. Harlan set the pup on the floor, closed the door quiet behind him, and waited. The little dog sniffed once, twice, then made a beeline for Clara's ankles, sat down, polite as you please, and looked up with eyes the color of creek water. Clara's spoon stopped moving. She looked down, then across at Harlan, who stood, hat in hand, like a boy asking to come courting. He cleared his throat. Found him at the sale barn. "Last one left, folks said his mama got hit by a freight wagon." Nobody Wanted the runt, said he'd never amount to much. Clara knelt slow asterisk, her knees creaking the same tune they had for 20 years asterisk. The pup crawled into her lap like he'd always belonged to there asterisk, laid his head on her arm and sighed a small, tired sigh asterisk. He ain't Buck, Harlan said soft, never will be, but the nights are long and the porch feels empty asterisk, and I thought maybe we still got room asterisk. Clara ran her fingers over the soft red fur asterisk, felt the small heart racing under her palm asterisk, and something inside her that had been clenched since winter started to loosen asterisk. What do you call him? She asked. Harlan shrugged. Asterisk figured that was woman's work. Clara looked at the pup, then at the window where the cottonwood leaves were just beginning to open asterisk, pale green against the wide sky. Red, she said. We'll call him Red because he came when the world turned warm again asterisk, and because some things come back different, but they come back. That night after supper was cleared and the dishes dried, Clara sat in the rocking chair by the stove asterisk, Red asleep in her lap asterisk, his head heavy the way Buck's used to be asterisk. Harlan pulled the old footstool close asterisk, sat and rested his head against her knee asterisk, the same way he had the night they let Buck go. Clara's hand moved slow through Harlan's gray hair, then down to the soft puppy fur, back and forth like she was weaving something new from the old threads. You know, she said quiet asterisk, I used to think losing hurt worse than anything asterisk. Turns out carrying on hurts too, but it's a cleaner hurt, the kind that leaves room for mornings asterisk. Harlan turned his face up, looked at her in the lamplight, saw the lines the years had drawn asterisk and the light that had come back into her eyes. I still miss him, he said asterisk. I know, she answered. We always will asterisk, but missing ain't the same as empty. We learned that, didn't we? Reed whimpered in his sleep. Chased some dream rabbit across a puppy prairie asterisk, and Clara smiled small and real outside asterisk. The cottonwood leaves whispered in the night breeze asterisk to graves under its roots. Now one small one waiting in life, still moving gentle above them. Harlan reached up asterisk, took Clara's hand, held it against his cheek. We're still here, he said, still holding on asterisk. Clara leaned down, kissed his forehead soft as forgiveness. And tomorrow, she whispered asterisk, we'll get up and do it again, because that's what love does. It keeps coming back different, but never done. Red stretched, rolled over asterisk, put one paw on Harlan's wrist asterisk, and the three of them sat there in the quiet circle of lamplight hearts, beating steady, the long winter finally over, spring settling soft around them asterisk, like an old dog that knows its people and chooses to stay.